Hello and welcome to Fresh Face Comics, the comic book podcast where a lifelong comic book reader guides his friends through the world of comics for the first time. My name is Joey Morgan, the aforementioned lifelong reader. With me, as always, is Jacob Licklider, the aforementioned newbie.
And now, a little music.
You totally cut out, and I'm so happy that fucking failed.
That's
Yeah,
fair. Well, happy 4th of July, everybody. Fuck this
you
country.
fucking failed. You
Yeah.
fucking failed, you bitch! Ha! Fuck you.
Ha!
Jacob was all like, I'm gonna have a fucking intro that you're gonna fucking hate. And I'm like, yeah, I'm sure. You say I'm gonna love it. I knew I was gonna hate it, but now I do love it because it fucking failed.
Because it failed miserably. Good to know. Good to know if I ever tried to do like the Superman theme or something like that.
Yeah, I think you were gonna try to learn that for the
Yeah, but I couldn't find it.
animated series episode. But hey, good thing we didn't, I guess.
Yeah. Also, hi, everybody.
I don't even know what you were playing because it cut off after like two notes.
Oh, I was doing the Stars and Stripes Forever, which is
Ah,
a march.
gotcha. Well, anyway, welcome to Fresh Face Comics. Today we are continuing our Green Lantern block covering the Jeff Johns Green Lantern run. We're talking about the collected editions Revenge of the Green Lanterns and Wanted Hal Jordan, this being issues 7 through 20 of the 2005 Green Lantern series by Jeff Johns. Yeah, collected in two volumes, Revenge of the Green Lanterns being 7 through 13 and Wanted Hal Jordan being 14 through 20. As always, before we get into the episode, thank you as always for listening to the podcast. Seeing some pretty steady growth lately, and it's been pretty great. So yeah, thank you all so much for listening. And as always, share it around wherever you can. Leave us a rating and subscribe wherever you're listening to us. It really does mean a lot and really does help the podcast grow more than you can possibly imagine. So yeah, all right. I guess let's get talking about this, huh? All right. So, Revenge of the Green Lanterns and Wanted Hal Jordan. Non-spoiler section first. Jacob, what's happening here? What's going on? Tell us all about it.
Okay, that's actually kind of hard because it's in a way four, just technically five.
It's five. Yeah, it's five different stories. Yeah.
Five different stories, all of varying tone and some of varying quantity. There was one I distinctly liked less than the others by quite a bit.
I know exactly what
Yeah.
one that is.
Um,
Yeah. Which I think I agree, but also I don't think it's a bad story, really.
It's not bad. No, we haven't hit a bad story yet. We've just hit a story that I don't think paces itself as well as it could, and kind of fails to stick the landing in places because it's trying to set up the next arc a bit too much in those specific issues.
Yeah, it does jump around a lot. So we get so the five stories featured here. We start off on a two-parter called A Perfect Life, a one-parter called Branded, two four-parters, one called Revenge of the Green Lanterns, the other Wanted Hal Jordan, and we finish on a three-parter called Mystery of the Star Sapphire. Also, for those listening, in case you didn't check out last episode, me and Jacob are reading these from the Green Lantern by Jeff Johns Omnibus, Volume 1. So it's a good, our current block of Green Lantern stories is covered by this first omnibus like pretty much perfectly, so it worked out for us really well. That's not really going to affect our reading with people who are reading from trades until like next time, but more on that later.
Yeah, I think next time the
Next
mapping
time,
is a bit different.
Yeah, there's a bit of variation. It's nothing insane like Sinestro Corps War is Sinestro Corps War, but it's worth noting.
Yeah. But yeah, so the first story, A Perfect Life, is nice. It's short.
It's a fun little team up.
I think it's supposed to be like a tie-in to Infinite Crisis.
I think a lot of this is meant to be a tie-in to Infinite Crisis.
Yeah, but these are the direct ones where like because I looked up the original covers and they had like tie-in to Infinite Crisis across the
but
banner.
Even then, Perfect Life especially stands alone pretty well.
Oh yes, it stands.
Like,
it stands alone.
You could still enjoy it on its own.
Oh, nicely. So does honestly the only one that I don't think stands alone very well is the one that is Wanted Hal Jordan, because that one is jumped around a lot and it's weird.
It's one that Johns definitely wrote in the throes of saying like, okay, I know exactly where this series is going. Let's set up a lot of that while telling in 4 issues a story that could probably be told in like 2 issues.
Yeah.
Honestly.
But then you have Revenge of the Green Lanterns, which honestly, kind of something I was really hoping for to get
Yeah,
in a
yeah.
lot of ways.
Yep.
It
Yeah.
ticked a
I
lot of
just
boxes.
something in me before we read this. I knew it would be your favorite of probably it probably your favorite of all the stories we've read so far of Green Lantern, right?
Yeah. At least, yeah, most definitely.
Yeah, it's a really damn good story. Branded is the one parter there. It's the cover gives it away. It's a Batman tie-in. Um, Very nice little one part story. So it has some very interesting things to say about Bruce Wayne as a character, I think.
Yes, and it's one I enjoyed. I'll kind of hit on some things that we needed, though perhaps a bit too late, considering there's been 9 issues in like 9 full issues in between this and the end of Rebirth. Uh,
Yeah, yeah. But it does help, I guess, that we're covering them in like back-to-back episodes of the
yes,
podcast. So you read them in pretty quick succession. So it does
yeah.
pay off rather nicely, I
So
think.
it wasn't like we did several other blocks and then came back to this,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
would have been honestly terrible.
Yeah, a
Um,
lot of this early stuff ties together very closely, which is why, like, after this first block, we could spread out our Green Lantern reading up a lot more. But these first couple arcs are like very close knit, and you do kind of need to read them like right next to each other.
yeah. And then the final story, Mystery of the Star Sapphires,
It's a
is
ride. It's a fucking ride.
I I read it all in an afternoon. I read that 3-parter just in an afternoon.
Mhm.
It was kind of a fever dream.
It
I
is,
don't think
but
all of it
it's
has aged well.
I don't know if I would call it poorly aged. Maybe just
There's some sketchy undertones there.
mm, more on that later. But I'm not
More
sure
on
if
that later.
I'm not sure if I fully agree.
It does do some great character work. I love the
Yeah,
character work.
yeah, and also I would say like that that one is done by the art in that one is done by Daniel Acuna, who's this is their first work on this run, and honestly, it's like my favorite art within these two collections.
Oh
Like
yeah, no, it's like,
it's a very distinctive art style, and I really like it.
and
But
it
on
works.
that brings us to our first Twitter question of the episode. This comes from at Jamie underscore season 7 says, how would you rank the artists that worked on the two books? So throughout these two books, we have Carlos Pacheco. I still have no clue how to pronounce his
I
name.
think it's Pachinko.
Pacheco, whatever. Ethan Van Sciver, who does one issue. Ivan Reis, who does most of the collections, and Daniel Lacuna, who I just mentioned. I did just say Daniel Lacuna is my favorite of the artists, but I mean,
Yes.
like, maybe not the best art to look at like consistently. Like if it was there like a lot more, it might become a bit wearing, but it's there for that 3-parter and it perfectly matches the tone of that
Yeah.
3-parter, you know? Overall, I mean Ivan Reis is Ivan Reis.
Yeah, like,
I know you were very excited when you saw his name in there and you're like, oh Ivan Reis,
yes.
let's go. Yeah.
And
Um
like his name's on the cover of the omnibus. It's like, oh yes, we're finally getting more, great art.
yeah.
If I had to rank them, Reese probably number one, then probably Cunha. Um, and then probably Pacheco, because I like Pacheco's, like, again, I like Pacheco's style. It's very stylized, very
Mm.
nice, very unique. And then Van Sciver at the bottom, because
I agree except for those bottom two. I think I might swap Van Sciver for
yeah,
the
that's
number
fair.
spot. Yeah, but I mean honestly, they're all good. Like there's not a bad artist in the
Yeah,
collection. But yeah, no, it's they're all great and they all offer like I think like the right kind of art for each individual story. Ivan Reis is more fit to do the big Jeff Johns blockbusters here. Um and and you know, like I said, Daniel Acuna does a great job with the Star Sapphire story. Ethan Van Sciver it pretty much writes a Rebirth sequel, you know.
pretty
um
much.
no, not writes,
Uh,
draws a Rebirth sequel. Yeah, I think it works really well.
Works really well.
Personally.
I'd also say Simone Bianchi does a lot of the covers for the this
Yeah.
sequence.
Yeah, she did number 6 from No Fear, and we sung her praises last time, and draws a lot of the covers here, and they're fucking brilliant.
Yeah, her covers are great. They
Yeah,
again, I like when art doesn't always be like we have to be 100% realistic all the time.
yeah, it's a
Um,
bit more abstract, and I really like that. Yeah,
yeah. I'd also say this. Um, if you read Rebirth and like me were kind of left wanting, just keep going, because then eventually you get, oh, Jeff Johns actually can do really interesting, thought-provoking things. Not
Mhm.
all the time, but he can do them.
Yeah, and a lot of that's here, especially in the Revenge collection. I think
Yes.
those stories really hit,
Yes.
especially because a lot of it is like full of callbacks to previous stories that Jeff Johns didn't even write, and he writes them really really well. I think if we're comparing it to like Rebirth and how Jeff Johns uses Rebirth as an opportunity to get new readers in while still using past elements, there's that, yeah. But I think if what you're referring to is how it's maybe not the best starting point for new readers, then Revenge, especially, and the stories involved in that collection, maybe a bit better for that purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially since Revenge itself is structured really well with what each of the stories does. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
they're not all perfect original stories. The first two-parter is a sequel to a very specific Alan Moore story.
Yeah.
More on that later.
Yeah. But I think it's done well.
No, it's done well, but I'm like, this
It
is
was really funny though. You messaged me and you were like, "Man, Jeff Johns loves writing Alan Moore sequels, doesn't he?"
yeah.
And I forgot that was even in there because I hadn't started my reread yet, and I was like, "Is there an Alan Moore sequel in there?" And sure enough, there is. But more on that later. So, yeah. Overall, anything else to cover in the non-spoiler section?
I think we have one other Twitter question we might want to cover.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. This I fucking can't. I fucking can't do this. Okay, fucking. Okay, our good friend Dylan,
Our good
fucking
friend Dylan at Lord Slar.
at Lord_Slar, has been replying to us nonstop lately with all of our Green Lantern tweets promoting the episode. With a picture of the pteroleptals from the Doctor Who story The Visitation, from season 19 back in 1981,
82.
81/2. That's yeah, that's the whole
Yeah.
season. Just with them standing around a glowing green object,
That
saying
looks vaguely like a lantern.
yes, saying is this Green Lantern, and our response to that is finally yes,
Yes.
absolutely. I think the pteroleptals would be chosen for their willpower in an instant. Yeah.
Watch him ask like, "Is this a yellow lantern?" next time or some
I
shit.
don't know what he'd use. What the fuck would he
That's
use?
that's a very good question.
So there, Dylan, you got your fucking question on the podcast. I don't think that's not going to stop him, but it's
Would he
there.
use axons? I wonder.
Oh, okay, axons might work.
Also,
I,
we shouldn't be doing Doctor Who tangents. Shit.
is what it is. Okay, so I guess that covers it for non-spoiler section. Let's get into spoilers with Revenge of the Green Lanterns. The first issue in that being Green Lantern number 7, A Perfect Life, chapter 1. First off, the cover just gets you really excited, I think, because it's Green Lantern
Yeah.
and Green Arrow. You know, it's just it's that team up. I love that fucking team up. It's great.
We're getting hard traveling heroes. Not
Yes.
really, but yeah.
Yeah.
Um. Yeah.
We start.
So
Yeah, we start off on this on a cornfield, as all great stories start,
in
and
Ohio.
yeah, I've been to a cornfield in Ohio.
So have I.
Yeah, my uncle's wife's parents have a cornfield. They're farmers, and I've been there. It's a very nice, big, open cornfield. I've driven a tractor around there. It was good fun.
Uh,
Anyway, yeah. Anyway, so Mongol is here, but not the Mongol you're expecting. But yeah, so
after the moon explodes a little bit.
yeah. So okay, Mongol's here. That must have been interesting for you to see, especially because we did, all of Return of Superman and
I was
all
like,
that.
oh, Mongol's here with a weird design update. Because
Yeah,
yeah, there's weird bits that weren't there, like spherical bits on
yeah,
his arms.
yeah.
Oh,
Did you immediately latch on to Black Mercy down there, or did that take a little bit
I
for you to
was
make the
like, wait,
connection?
is that? Well, Bevan was like, hang on, isn't that thing from the Alan Moore thing?
And it is indeed that thing from the Alan Moore thing, but more on that later. Meanwhile, Green Lantern and Green Arrow are just saving a construction worker from falling, as you do. And it's great. I don't know. I love it. Yeah, it's just good fun. Good to see these characters together again. They're contacted by John Stewart. Um, John Stewart tells them to go elsewhere, back on Oa, where we see just the whole core here hanging out.
Guy Gardner being a motherfucker.
Yep, as he does
Poke,
so well.
poking an alien captive with a giant stick.
Yep. Oh, we never mentioned it last time. But you did read Green Lantern Corps Recharge.
I did.
Um, Salak. Did you like Salak at all in like the small bits he was in?
Fascinating character. Oh, all the characters there were fascinating because
Hmm.
it's partially you can tell Dave Gibbons' influence on Recharge more than John's in a lot of places,
Hmm.
uh, especially with the way a lot of characters are characterized, and a lot of the commentary on the core itself
Yeah,
being
yeah.
kind of not always the best.
Hmm. And we're gonna get more into that later, into the larger core later, with Revenge of the Green Lanterns. But yeah, more on that later. I don't know. Just wanted to bring that up. But
Yes.
yeah, so John is sending them out. Hal takes Oliver with him. I love this little like this image here of him like putting Ollie in a chair and just flying him around.
Yes.
uh,
Though I think it's important to note that the mention of Mongol and the fact that at this point apparently the JLA watchtower is blown up. No one knows who did it. The Martian Manhunter is missing. So
Infinite Crisis shit, Jacob. Just let it pass.
okay, because I'm
Just
like,
let it go.
oh,
Just
interesting bits of the universe. But I'm glad I knew going into this was a tie-in to Infinite Crisis. Because I'm like, I'm sure that gets explained in Infinite Crisis.
yeah, yeah. But I'm sure we'll cover that someday. But yeah, yeah. So we go over there. We meet the Mongol family. So obviously, right away, sort of explaining what's going on with Mongol here. We meet Sister Mongol, who is what Mongol,
I thought it was going to be pronounced like Mongal.
Mongol. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I don't know.
It doesn't
Uh,
matter. But yeah, we Hal catches Ollie up on what went on back in Return of Superman. I like that we
Hell's
do.
also very angsty, rightfully so, because yeah, this is the family that blew up his city.
Yeah, yeah, rightfully so. We also get a cheeky little cyborg Superman drawing in there, which I'm not even sure if John's like purposely said like, yeah, just make sure you draw cyborg Superman in there because I'm gonna have him in Revenge. But I don't know, just interesting that they made the choice to put him in there.
It wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah,
Yeah. He calls his brother, who is annoyed that he won't come to his nephew's birthday party. Uh,
rightfully so.
rightfully so, rightfully so. And uh, Ollie tries to talk to him about like, hey, I have a son who I might have fucked shit up with. Don't make the same mistakes that I did, Hal. Uh,
Hmm.
but they are interrupted by the cornfield being full of black mercies.
Yes.
Like, like they are attacking cows. I'd love to figure out what the
I was just
hell.
gonna say I want to know what the cow like perfect life is.
It's
Um,
just endless grass, maybe.
endless grass, not being murdered. That sounds nice.
Yeah. Uh, yeah, but we also see the shocking image of like the farmhands being black mercied, and Mongol punches them both in the face.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, we get some very fun action.
Yep.
Uh, about how all of it is going to hurt. Again, very fun use of just Green Lantern as a concept,
Oh
using like
yeah.
a spade. Um,
Gets like these like lawn clippers out to cut like Black Mercy to pieces. It's just really nice to see. He like makes like a little like gardening hose out of his constructs. Just some really cool action sequences here.
actual green arrows with the big declaration, "My ring works on yellow." Because yeah, that was a thing in Reign of the Superman and Return of Superman. The ring didn't work on Mongol
Yeah.
because Mongol is yellow.
And now he's even more yellow because he's not wearing a shirt.
That is true. Um, yeah, but they are wrapped in um, in the Black Mercies. Hal gets them out of it. They defeat Mongol. Oliver's son shows up, and it's
Just
at this
hanging
point.
out.
At this point, Ryan's like, "Oh, this is where we're going with this."
Yep. Yeah, it's a great little twist, and honestly, like I think it's done really well. It's a great use of the concept, especially when we get into the second issue here.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, obviously we get the twist. Okay, they're imagining all this. Um, Uh,
It's
we
it's
you see them wrapped in the Black Mercy at the end, and that takes us into Green Lantern #8 with a fantastic cover by Simone Bianchi.
yes,
Absolutely amazing. I fucking love that cover. So good. But yeah,
yes.
we see the Oliver Queen and Hal Jordan perfect lives they're given by the Black Mercy. Um,
And part of me is just like, God, couldn't these be real though? Like,
right? Wouldn't it be nice? Wouldn't it
it
be
would be
nice?
nice.
It is kind of
Uh,
interesting that we're talking about this now because I guess you did have a bit of a mix up last episode with Oliver having a child, because Arrow has done horrible things to how people perceive Green Arrow.
Oliver
Um,
Queen.
yeah. So he does actually have a kid. It's not Mia. This is Connor Hawk. Ollie's kid. In this life, him and Connor have a good relationship. Oliver is married. Meanwhile, Hal
Is
is
it so who's he supposed to be married to is the question.
it is not Dinah
Yeah, I
or
was gonna say this doesn't look
yeah, yeah,
like
yeah,
yeah.
it's not Black Canary, no. I forget her name actually. It escapes me. I can't
Possibly
remember.
whoever Connor's mom is supposed to be.
Well, yeah, it would be Connor's mom, but I can't remember who she is.
I was gonna say Mrs. Hawk Queen.
I forget her name. Anyway,
I don't know.
yeah.
But yes, so
Yeah,
we see.
they're having a nice little life. Hal is with a not dead Green Lantern Corps. We see a bunch of these old lanterns from back before Hal went all crazy. Sinestro is a good
Mhm.
guy, is still. But interestingly, they're fighting Parallax, who still looks like Hal Jordan.
Yeah, which is interesting.
hmm That even in this perfect life, there is still a part of Hal that is imperfect. I think that's what
Yeah,
it's trying to say there. It's real.
that's the implication.
Yeah.
It also interestingly casts Kyle, John, and Guy especially as sort of just background characters.
Yeah. Really, really interesting. But after a hard day of being a Green Lantern, we go to Hal hanging out with his family in this fictional world, and his family's all in good terms. His mom's alive, his dad's alive, even his other brother's alive. Everyone's on good terms. Um,
It's
uh,
the I will say I love the way this issue constructs the fantasies in this very dreamlike layout. Uh,
yeah,
like just the way it's paced. Like Hal's dad shows up, and then immediately we cut to them flying together in a plane. Uh,
yeah. Like you don't like an actual dream works. You don't see how they get from that one place to the next, um, and you see them flying together, and it's so nice.
yeah,
We get a quick cut of them still being infected by the Black Mercy outside. Meanwhile, back in Oliver's perfect world, Oliver is what, having another kid, right?
having another kid. Yeah,
Having another kid, as you do. Uh,
Sandra. Her name is Sandra.
that's it. Yeah. Um, yeah. So
Uh,
there's that. Um,
which is again interesting insight that Oliver Queen wants a family. He wants to be a good dad, but he is not a good dad. Um, but yeah, something zaps him in the dream out of the fantasy, and everyone disappears. Very much
as you,
doing a whole nightmare thing,
yeah.
uh, which is also manifesting in Hal's vision as turbulence.
And I love this because Hal sees his dad die all over again in this
He's reverted
reimagined
to a child.
in this reimagined world where the debris of his dad's plane falls around him, and he's still Green Lantern. He is still the way he was before, and oh, I love that. Oh, it's so good. They break free from the Black Mercy. We go to fight Mongol. Sister Mongol shows up. Fucking, I don't know. I can't get over it.
Yeah, I
Yes,
don't. My one sort of big critique is the ending of this two-parter
yeah,
is
it's
a
not the
bit.
best.
The
Yeah,
action scene at the end is a bit weird.
yeah.
Because it's not really it's not entirely Hal and Ollie saving the day. It's the two Mongol children fighting each other.
Yeah, and Hal and Ollie just kind of get sidelined.
I do like the construct of actual green arrows,
Yep,
like
they do
to
that
fill the
again.
quiver,
Yep.
because Oliver Queen's not magic. He will run out of arrows.
Mm. I fucking love the way that Mongol kills his sister. He fucking punches off her head.
Yeah,
Like what the fuck? Um,
because
yeah,
they're teleported away. And that's that thread over. But we do get
Yeah.
some nice closure.
Yeah, Hal
I
and
love
Ollie
the final
realize they've.
conversation between Hal and Ollie.
Yep. Hal goes to his nephew's birthday, gives him a football as a present to go out play with it, and Oliver calls up Connor and asks him to lunch, presumably, and dinner, whatever. And that's that. And it's a very
It's
nice little
very
two-parter.
sweet. It's
Yeah, it's a
very sweet.
very nice little two-parter. Very much at odds with the cover of the next issue, uh,
Yeah.
which is our Batman one-parter called Branded. This one, again, another cover by Simone Bianchi. Fucking adore the way she draws Batman here. Um,
I think
yeah,
this is also
so
like the one issue that's actually by Ethan Van Sciver. I think.
yeah, drawn by Ethan Van Sciver. Yeah, it's the only
Because the
one.
rest is pretty much Ivan Reis
Yeah,
and
it's
then
all Ivan
Daniel
Reese.
Kuhn,
All Ivan Reese done up until Mystery of the Star Sapphire. Yeah,
which is honestly a nice consistency.
yeah. Each,
Yeah.
yeah, very nice. Yeah. So we start off Branded. We meet the Tattoo Man. I don't know the Tattoo Man, to be
It's a.
honest.
I will. I don't know the. I obviously there's no real backstory to this character, but I like the idea of tattoos coming to life and
Yeah.
posing a
It
threat.
it's a fun little idea. We see Salak here again. Just nice to see him. Salak's always like one of my favorite like larger core members. He's nice. So Hal goes over, meets up with Batman. Batman's hanging out in the Batcave, investigating the Tattoo Man. Um, we sort of we sort of catch ourselves up with like where Bruce and Hal are in their relationship at this point. Bruce, while not necessarily still untrusting of Hal, doesn't like him at all still,
No.
which is much more the relationship that I guess you're used to between the two of them, and that makes sense.
I love this line. It's like, you could have called you called yourself. I'm sure you have my number. Ollie is still on speed dial.
So
I,
good.
I like the idea of Bruce Wayne having his friends on speed dial.
Yeah. But yeah, so we start to investigate the Tattoo Man, but honestly, the Tattoo Man is just background dressing for this story.
Yeah, I mean,
But
it does fit in nicely with the idea of sins of the past and people being judged for
yeah,
their sins.
yeah.
Because all the stuff on Oa at the very beginning is like, you're stripped of being a renegade, but people are still gonna hate you, Hal.
Hmm.
I wonder what that could mean. Ooh.
But yeah, so Batman starts walking away from Hal at one point. We get a nice little follow up on the Rebirth Punch because Batman decks Hal. It's nice to see.
It's satisfying.
It is. But, both of them are assholes, and I think I said the same thing when Hal punched Bruce in Rebirth. I was like, it just needs to happen more often. This also needs to happen more often.
Yes.
They both just need to get consistently punched by each other.
Yes.
That's it. But yeah, they decide to go after the Tattoo Man. It's mostly about the conversations between the two of them. There's some really nice little character moments between the two of them here.
I love how Bruce is just like, right, I'll be a terrible driver just to prove that you need to wear a seatbelt, Hal.
Yeah. So fun. Very petty though, which I think is also very in character, especially because Bruce is seen as like, the mature one in the league, he's the one just being a petty dick here.
I mean, here's the thing. At his core, Bruce Wayne is still kind of a man-child.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Like,
well, I mean, hell, we sort of hammer that home with the ending of this story, don't we?
yeah.
Yeah. But again, more on that later. I mean, not much later, because honestly, what is there to say about the Tattoo Man fight?
I like the fight. It's a fun.
Oh, it's cool. Like it's well drawn. Like the tattoos come to life. Like there's a snake, there's a scorpion, there's a skull with bat wings. Like
There's a ton of barbed wire.
Yeah,
there's like a dragon.
It's very creative. Yeah, just mostly just visually interesting though, I think.
Yeah. It's it's very interesting. Like, turns out this guy was actually tortured, so he doesn't feel pain. Kind of a shame we don't get like a bigger backstory than that.
Yeah, honestly, like I said earlier that we extended Wanted Hal Jordan. And like it should be like an issue or two shorter. This should have been an issue longer, I think.
Yeah, make this like.
Yeah, I'd love to see Tattoo Man like expanded upon, but there's not much to him here, I think.
No.
Yeah. But anyway, we take him out, we fight him. That's the end. We go back to the Batcave. And Hal's like, "Hey, Bruce, you're kind of a dick, like constantly." And so he gives Batman his ring just to try it out, to take control. Put that, as Hal says, put that horrible night behind him. Um, and Bruce puts on the ring. It absolutely tortures him. I love this visual here of the Green Lantern bat symbol and all these green bats flying around Bruce, and he's in so much pain. And then it manifests itself. The ring does manifest itself as Thomas and Martha, and he still feels that pain. Um, and After Hal says, put that horrible night behind you, Bruce takes off the ring, says, "I don't want
Yeah,
to,
I don't want to.
not
Not
yet."
yet.
Again, we just mentioned, Bruce still at his core is a bit of a man child. He still wants to live in that moment. He's
He
still,
is still hung up on that trauma, despite even at this point adopting at least 4 children.
yeah,
I think
yeah.
more, because more
Oh,
rumors.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Wait, I could be wrong. No, Damien was not a thing yet. Or no, was
But
he?
but he found this was like 2006, 2007, so he might have just been becoming a thing.
Yeah, yeah,
But also Cassandra,
yeah.
because she was a
Cassandra.
'90s creation.
Hmm. Yeah. So yeah.
So
There's already that whole family around Bruce, but he still wants to know what shaped him. He doesn't want to leave that moment behind him. I think it's a really interesting analysis of Bruce's character, and one that I could see people taking like issue with, but I could understand that, but I kind of disagree with that. I think this makes sense.
I think it's something that's very easy to fuck up.
Hmm.
Uh, but I don't think Johns here fucks it up. I've
No, no.
seen places where it can be fucked up completely.
Yeah.
Um, but like acknowledging that as part of Bruce Wayne is and realizing that despite being the world's greatest detective, he does not ever have his shit together.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, that's important.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah, definitely. All right, we move on to Green Lantern number 10, Revenge of the Green Lanterns, Part 1. Ivan Reese is here. I know you're very excited
it
about
was
this.
turning the page and just seeing. Well,
like
I
you
didn't even.
like you guys don't realize like how excited Jacob was for this. He took a picture of the Omni that said like Ivan Reese penciler, and he's like, I'm so fucking excited. I was like, yes, it's fucking Ivan Reese. It's, I know you totally fell in love with his stuff when we covered Aquaman, and
I
yeah.
might. This may get me murdered by comic fans, but I might like his style more than Jim Lee. Like,
uh I can understand that.
don't get me wrong. I also love Jim Lee. I can love more than one creator,
Mhm.
but there's something about just what Reese does that makes him so unique.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, like,
Interesting.
yeah. Um,
All right, we kick off here. Now, each of these issues was labeled 1 year later. You'll see it on the, like, if you look at the original covers of these 4 issues, I think all of them, or at least most of them, the first two or three, have a little like 1 year later sticker on it,
yeah.
because a lot of DC books were doing this at the time to sort of coincide with Infinite Crisis. To be like, hey, 1 year later, just fucking deal with it.
Is that why they did 52 as a series?
Pretty much. I'm not entirely sure. I haven't done like a complete deep dive in Infinite Crisis. I've read Infinite Crisis, the main event, and that's about it.
I mean,
Um,
it was early 2000s, so I'm guessing there was way too many tie-ins.
yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah, yeah. It's fucking ridiculous.
Because
There's a 52 omnibus actually.
well, that's because 52 was like 52 issues.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. I think actually, Jamie, our friend Jamie, that we always cover questions from, has that Omni. I'm pretty sure.
Ah,
Yeah.
very fun.
Yeah. Anyway, more on that later. Or no, what am I saying? There's not more on that later.
There's no more on that
But,
later. We are a year into the future.
yes, and Hal is out here fighting the was it the Red Guardians, or no, the Red Rocket Guardians? That's it.
Yes, and
Um,
it's you kind of get thrown in at a deep end.
yeah. You're just kind of like thrown in. You're not really given much context for it.
Because I'm like, my brain is like,
Because
wait, who are these people?
oddly enough, the context is more given in the next story.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not very well in the next story. Honestly, it's
Yeah.
weird. It's
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah. There will actually be more on that later.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know. Big action sequence here. A lot of Hal inner monologue here. I don't know. I don't think there's much to comment on in this segment.
They're trying to arrest him because he apparently entered Russian airspace illegally because he's an American. A character called the Igneous Man had been lurking in Chernobyl for weeks, um, and interestingly, how kind of leaves more carnage than he was expecting. Like a plane blows up. Uh, he tries, basically to get out, uh, and then we get a flashback to him crashing alone
A
after
gun immediately pointed to his face. Then it's
being shot down because he's
and then
American.
we realize that all this is a nightmare. Not so much a nightmare, but like he's remembering things that have happened in the past year. Again, more on that later. um,
Uh,
yeah, he wakes up terrified. He yells out for Cowgirl, who we haven't seen since No Fear. Um, well, yeah. So he wakes up. He's heard this woman.
we find out that like there really isn't a Justice League. There's like a big global Guardians team who are a bunch of characters that I don't recognize.
Yeah. I don't really know many of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think this is all like Infinite Crisis stuff.
Yeah. You just kind of gotta like work with it for now.
He's back to having casual, meaningless sex dealing with trauma
Yep.
in that way.
Yep.
And
Knock on the door comes. Oliver Queen walks in because of
in a
course he does.
suit.
Yeah. Just as this one night stand is leaving, Ollie and Hal go out to talk. Again, just always nice to see like the two of them just hanging out together. There's some really nice dialogue here.
Yeah, it's Ollie's like, I will say it's weird seeing Oliver Queen be like, we have to follow the law of international law.
Yeah.
Like Oliver says, I'm only doing my job. My brain is like, okay, something's going on behind the scenes that's bigger than this small story arc.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like
A lot of the beginning of this story, you just sort of need to like let pass by because once we get past this first issue, it's all high action from here on
yeah.
out.
Well, because we won't really be, I'm guessing for like the Sinestro Corps War, we aren't going to be on Earth all that much.
More than you might think, actually.
More than I might think.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. But yeah, after this conversation happens, we get a cut over to Sector 674. We meet this alien here. His name is Arkillo. He's murdering people. He is met by this yellow light that says, "Arkillo of the planet Vorn, you have the ability to instill great fear. Welcome to the Sinestro Corps." We get our first little setup for Sinestro Corps War, which happens really early on, all things considered.
Yeah, like
yeah,
because like the story arc itself doesn't start till issue 21. Like this is 11 issues early.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
I know you technically get stuff from issues 18 to 20 that like we aren't covering this episode.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah.
We come back to seeing Hal, Shane, and Cowgirl all being medaled.
Being
Because
metal.
yeah, they're being presented medals after being shot down after targeting known terrorist camps. I think again, Johns does an interesting job with trauma in this story arc in particular,
Mm-hmm.
and we'll see a little more of it later.
Mm-hmm.
But there's this whole idea that like these three are really the only ones who understand exactly what happened to them.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they were all prisoners of war. The ceremony is interrupted by a ship being crashed down. The general's
Ship
like,
crashes
right.
down. Hal goes to investigate it. Inside, he finds Tomar 2 of Sector 2813, still in his little Green Lantern outfit, and he's Hal says this can't be. We said why not? The Hal says because I killed him. So this is one of the many, many, many Green Lanterns that Hal Jordan killed in his little parallax quest to kill everyone in the world.
His
And some
little parallax quest.
yeah, yeah. I'm sure you already knew this. You didn't know the characters, obviously, but you knew that there were just a lot of people like this that met this
I
fate.
knew he did several genocides. He did
I'm trying to
several
take a
genocides.
fucking drink. God damn it. Okay. This takes us to Green Lantern number 11. Another wonderful cover by Simone Bianchi. Yeah, so we take Tomar 2 over to Oa, and he's being checked up on by Salak, and I forget her name.
I'm gonna quickly find it.
Recharge. Ah, fuck, can't remember her name. I feel bad. Sonorek. That's it.
Yes, and she's a great. She's
Oh,
like
sorry,
the best.
Soranik. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, she's the best character from Recharge too.
Oh
Like,
yeah, definitely. Yeah, I fucking love her character. She shows up a lot in the New 52 stuff, actually. I mean,
fun.
and of course in the Dave Gibbons original core run, but yeah, I know her mostly from the New 52 stuff. Anyway, yeah, so we're over here on Oa. We're still talking about all this. How could Tomar 2 be back? We catch ourselves up on Emerald Twilight and all that good shit. Hal Jordan with the sick gray sideburns and all that. We're
And
in.
we get the first big, Hal Jordan being attacked because
He's kind of a dick.
he kind of did several genocides.
Yeah, he kind of murdered a few people, and
I will say I love the alien designs just every
oh
time.
yeah, they're so cool, especially like considering they all have their own sort of variation on the Green Lantern uniform.
Yeah.
Like it's so cool to see. But yeah, so this guy that goes after Hal gets punched in the face by Guy Gardner because of course he does.
Again, interesting that it's Gardner who's here.
Yeah, yeah. Fight starts to break out. Kilowog comes in to break it up because God, I love Kilowog. And yeah, we go over to what is it? Hal is being called over to see the Guardians
because of the outburst, basically.
Yeah, yeah.
And Hal's like, right, I want to, find all the ones who I kind of killed and maybe bring them back because they might still be alive. I have instinct, and that's about it. And the Guardians being like, no, that is illogical.
Yes. Tomar 2's point of origin was outside of our appointed sectors. He was held prisoner beyond our universe, Sector 3601, the Blackest Night. This is the very first mention of it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
so you know vaguely what that is, right?
I know it involves zombies. That's about it.
There are indeed zombies, yeah.
Also, it involves Green Lantern, because it was a Green Lantern.
Yeah,
event,
yeah. there is indeed a Green Lantern there.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I know nothing about this event.
No, that's good. That's good. The less you know, the better.
And Jeff Johns writes it because, of course, he does.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway,
yeah. So they tell Hal he can't go out there.
No life could survive.
Yeah.
But Hal like, I'm gonna do it anyway.
Yeah, he goes to talk to Guy, and Guy's like, yeah, you can do it. I'll cover your ass.
Guy's just on board immediately.
Yeah. We get another look at the Global Guardians here. It's like, okay, sure, whatever.
Okay. Yeah, very weird.
Yeah, moving on. There are a fair few scenes like this throughout this story and throughout Wanted Hal Jordan. So,
and they don't amount to much.
Well, the Sinestro scenes do, I think, because there are a few more of the. Yeah, well, obviously, you know how they're going to become important, obviously.
But the Guardian scenes,
like we don't need to be cutting to them now when they're the main focus of Wanted Hal Jordan.
Yeah,
it's weird. But yeah, so Hal goes out there, Hal and Guy, at first. They go over to the sector, and they find a bunch of manhunters. Another great two-page spread here. Love seeing Ivan Reis do two-page spreads again, since they're Aquaman stuff. Very nice artwork here.
Yes. And it's on a planet of manhunters, and it's like, okay, this is weird. This idea of there's an assembly line, They blow some of them up, and they bleed,
Yes,
which
they
is
bleed.
definitely that's a creepy image. So they follow the pipeline down.
Go to see where these things are being controlled from, and we find a bunch of strung up Green Lanterns, ex Green Lanterns specifically. Um, and let's see, we see. Oh yes,
All,
yes, of course. Hal knows all these guys. Many more victims of all the murderings and the genocides.
oh, Kyle is also here, I think.
Yes. Is Kyle here?
It, or
What?
is that just a weird way of drawing
I,
Hal?
that's just a weird way of drawing Hal. Are you looking at the top of that one page with the 4 panels?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you're talking. Yeah, no, that's still Hal. You're good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah. And then the second of the 1-2 punch, the real
Yes.
villain behind everything is the
Yes.
fucking cyborg Superman.
Yes. Yes. Oh my God. Okay, so just what was your reaction? I have to know.
Byron's like, aren't you dead? Shouldn't you be dead?
We did see him die like twice back when we covered all of
Yes.
Death of Superman. So
It was a very nice surprise. I didn't
yeah.
know it was coming too, which
Yeah,
is
yeah. I was just if you go back to the last episode, there's a point where I open up the Omni to check what issues we're covering on this episode, and I opened up to Cyborg Superman. I was like, oh fuck, I forgot about that. I know you're gonna love this. And I'm glad you do. So yeah, this takes us over to Green Lantern number 12, 12,
well.
12, 12. Yeah, 12. Revenge of the Green Lanterns, part 3. Yeah, we're back on Oa. Salik is here with Kilowog, uh, just talking in general, talking about where Hal and Guy went, and
We're
we catch
also
our.
in. We're. I love just the image of just the crypts. Like
Oh yeah.
this is kind of a scary idea for like crypts the way it's portrayed.
Hmm.
Very quickly. But there's kind of more on that later because of what's going to happen to Guy right at the end of this and what he's going
Hmm.
to have to do.
Yeah.
Um,
But meanwhile, we got to catch ourselves up for those that don't know who Cyborg Superman is, because it's weird. Like nowadays, we think of him as a pretty regular character in DC Comics, but he'd only appeared in 2 major events before this, and this was sort of the one that like normalized Cyborg Superman as a regular recurring character.
as a person who keeps showing up like a bad penny.
Yep.
Uh, Also,
And God, we love him.
I love the way Reese draws skeleton Hank Henshaw in
Oh
that
my
one
God.
panel.
Yeah. Oh my God. Fucking burnt to a crisp like that. Oh my God. Yeah. Oh, so good. So good.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Uh,
yeah, we obviously we know who Hank Henshaw is. We read all of that arc in across 5 episodes. Please check that out because other than like 2 entries, those are some pretty like not as much listened to episodes.
yeah.
But I'm pretty proud of them because I had a great time.
I'm proud of them. Also, they keep becoming they keep being important. More important than you might expect.
Oh yeah, so Cyborg Superman's here. He's back. He has a shit ton of Green Lantern power rings, which is fun. He has oh, and these Manhunters, of course, we learned they are being powered by the previously dead Green Lanterns. A lot of the scene is just saying like, hey, if you don't know who Cyborg Superman was, here's his whole backstory.
Yeah. Again, because he keeps showing up, and I'm not when you're not really expecting it.
Yeah, yeah, it's great. We get another flash here of the Global Guardians.
After
I
Hal gets to hooked into the Manhunter
Yes, he starts
Green
seeing Milman
Lantern.
escapes. The Manhunter is just. I love the way that's drawn. So good. Yeah, more Global Guardians shit that nobody gives a fuck about. Moving
Uh,
on. Oh yeah, so we get some more Hal Jordan backstory. You knew most of this already, but we get a bit more on what happened over in Russia in the year that we skip forward, and we talk about the lanterns that Hal killed when he was Parallax.
yes.
Cyborg
Again,
Super, Cyborg Superman. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
the interesting idea that Cowgirl was the one who was tortured, and that kind of broke Hal.
Mhm.
And it's what Hal uses to break out of the Manhunter control.
Yeah.
Um, which is great.
Henshaw here is just pretty much taunting Hal because he hates him, which is kind of weird. Well, no, Hal. Yeah, Hal had a direct hand in defeating Henshaw. That makes sense.
It makes sense.
And also, I feel like Henshaw just hates everyone. So.
I mean, he hates all life because life is bad. And Hal's using the opportunity to slowly wake up all the other lanterns who immediately want to kill him.
Yep. Which I mean,
I love that because it's like, yeah, no, Hal doing several genocides should still have lasting consequences.
Like we talk about like how pissed Bruce Wayne was at Hal when he came back from the dead, but these guys have way more reason to be pissed at Hal. He just fucking killed them. Like,
yeah, Bruce Wayne hadn't died at this point, I don't think.
Yeah, no, not until Final Crisis. Yeah.
And you have one of the Green Lanterns, Boudica, spelled not the way you might be thinking.
Yeah, it's weird.
Is missing her hand because Hal cut it off.
My God. Oh, love it. But yeah, we have Lyra, Chance, Graf Torin, Boudica. Do they name any of the others specifically? Obviously Arisia. Arisha. I've always said Arisia. But I don't know.
I don't know. The one that was another love interest for Hal Jordan.
Yeah.
Because I
was kind of like this one in particular. This is one that's, I guess, kind of overlooked in favor of Carol Ferris, which, we love Carol Ferris, of course. But I always liked Arisia because it was that, it was just different for DC, especially at the time when the romance was a thing, because it was just human alien. And I don't know, it was different. I always liked it.
Yeah. But they at least decide to, fight the Manhunters themselves because, they're the Manhunters. Also, the big issue ends with Guy Gardner inside a giant Manhunter. I love this image.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It is so dumb, but it works.
Oh, yeah.
So well.
Because it's Guy Gardner. And I love that you have fully come around on Guy Gardner now as a character.
Yeah, I kind of hate this, Joey.
I want you to go back to Death of Superman now and see how excited I am for Guy Gardner and your hatred of him. And now you will understand it. Now you'll see why
now
I like
I
Guy
get
Gardner.
it.
Exactly.
Now I get it. It took a while. But I get it.
We got there in the end.
Also, best cover of the miniseries is for part 4.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, that Hal versus Guy thing with the Manhunter parts there. Oh,
yeah, both of them almost being like cyborgs. I don't know. I love the image. Yeah.
But yeah, so good. We start off again, another flashback. I like that Johns does this quite frequently because, let's be honest, a lot of people reading this, like you and like when I first read it, like just aren't familiar with a lot of these stories that Johns is referencing.
This is still before a point where let's be honest, it's only been in the last 10 years that DC has gotten their shit together and released stuff in trades regularly and kept them in print long enough for people to pick them up.
See, that's the thing. Marvel has always done the trades that have been released back in the day, but they just don't fucking keep them in print.
Yeah. DC at least keeps them in print and then will update them every so often.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting backstory. Of course, she gets killed because Green Lantern love interest just seemed to get killed.
Yeah. No matter what the Green Lantern is, too, it seems.
Yes. But then we get, back to the present in a nice 2-page, just a beautiful 2-page splash.
Oh yeah, so good. Once again, Guy Gardner's a dick. I don't know. I love this. I love this whole sequence here where it's you feel the other Lanterns' hatred of Hal Jordan, but they're all fighting the Manhunters at the same time. It's this nice dynamic here. It makes for a really cool fight scene, I think.
Yeah, it makes things so different, and the action is great. Now, of course, because we have to threaten the love interest.
Well, I think I don't think it's so much the trope of threatening the love interest as Hank Henshaw is just a dick and knows how to get to Hal Jordan.
Yeah. Captures Arisia, and we get basically Hal kind of losing it again.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea is that Henshaw just wants to take over the universe and destroy all life and make it machine-like. Uh, but what's fascinating is Henshaw's kind of right about what the Corps are doing with Hal Jordan. Because like there's this bit here, it's like just like they hide the reason why you were reinstated and cleared so quickly, the Guardians use you as an example. You constantly questioned and disobeyed their orders, and look what happened to you. You lost everything. The Guardians see your presence in the Corps as a way to keep everyone else in line.
It's true. I think that this is a pretty common theme throughout this run, and you know already because you've read a lot more of it. You read some more of it past this, but you'll see it especially when we get to Sinestro Corps War. Like this point that Henshaw makes is completely accurate.
Yeah, the Guardians are an authoritarian police force.
And now that you've seen a lot more of the Guardians, I want to know like what your thoughts are on their presence in the DC universe.
Well, they are the shining example of total fuckery.
Yeah. Yeah. They're horrible. Like they are fucking horrible people.
What happens when you give a strong organization power and weapons?
Yeah. And especially in this case, just absolutely unlimited power and to use however they want, because there is no real like at least as far as and as far as they believe, there is no greater force outside of them that can control them.
Yeah,
and keep them.
There are greater forces that are building clearly. Behind the scenes using the color yellow.
But even then, how much of that is still part of what the Guardians have already foreseen?
Very possibly.
More on that later. That I'm really excited to get to. Yeah, definitely check out the next episode. Very excited to talk about some of that. But yeah, Arisia is back in action here. She helps Hal fight Henshaw. Great little action sequence here.
She says his hair looks better.
Which I can agree, but also I do love the sick gray sideburns.
Yeah, but they make him old, Joey. He needs to be young.
Yeah.
Basically, they flirt as they destroy the cyborg, which, I don't know, seeing the cyborg Superman get his ass handed to him is always satisfying.
Yeah, especially because his character design is one that can be so broken apart, and you could just mangle it in the worst ways possible, and it's just satisfying to see. Yeah, honestly, thank you, Dan Jurgens. I'm getting flashbacks to how great those episodes were to record. My God, I loved those episodes so much.
I mean, every episode's been great to record.
But man, like that was really it wasn't really that long ago, but it feels so long ago, and I remember just really enjoying that experience, doing that whole arc. That was really fun.
Yeah. But yeah, hey. Gardner tries to is the pessimist that he is. Who the hell's we? So he rallies the troops to try to evacuate. And the idea is to destroy the power batteries, and then blow up the planet and ride the shockwave out, which works. Honestly, I thought for a minute maybe we would go for like a noble sacrifice thing, which would just sour kind of the taste of what
but they don't, and I think it's really rewarding. And Guy comes through here in the end in this whole like last scene with the Guardians here. Like Guy is there to defend Hal, and Guy is the one that gets punished for it.
Yeah.
He gets put on prime duty. Which
I didn't know what this was until the final page.
Yeah.
And yells, and I'm like, Guy was annoyed, so I'm like, probably nothing too terribly bad.
Yeah.
Because like he's just regular annoyed. And it's this Howl's like, hey, we should expand to cover that sector. It's like your request is unorthodox. We say that this sector is forbidden. And we will not rewrite the Book of Oa. Which that has some interesting implications considering today's political landscape.
Yeah, which again, that's another thing that when we do Sinestro Corps War, like I'll be really interested to see what you think of what they do with that.
It's good to know.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, we get this nice little scene here, where nobody still really likes Hal, at least of the people that he murdered.
Which,
Um,
is fair. He did
yeah,
murder them.
yeah. And meanwhile, Hal is still just getting it from all sides. Rizia still seems to be into him, so there's
So,
that, I
yeah.
guess. There's
Uh,
that, I guess. Yeah, so we find out what Prime Duty is. Salak is here with Guy. Guy's left alone with his green box. Inside it is a man with a Superman symbol laser cut into him.
called
Pretty sure you know who this is. Oh yeah, they say who it is. Superboy Prime.
Superboy Prime. Now, I don't know what that means. All I know
Yes.
is that he punched a hole through the universe at one point.
Yes, and we will get there. We will get there. Yeah, so meanwhile, the Guardians are here. They're all gathered around here. They're discussing what this all means, and they all say 52, which means something. The meaning of what 52 is exactly is ever changing, I feel.
Yeah. I mean, probably at this point, because like the 52 miniseries would have been
There's the
going on.
52 miniseries, there's the new 52. There's the idea that the DC universe is made up of only 52 universes. It's whatever you want at this point,
Whatever you
honestly.
want it to be.
Yeah, yeah. It's like what Dave Filoni says about R2D2. How many lightsabers can R2D2 hold? As many as the plot requires. Just whatever the hell you want it to be. It's it's great. Yeah, anyway, that's it for Revenge of the Green Lanterns. The both the story and the trade. These 7 issues, what did you think of this collection as a whole?
This collection, it was very close to being my favorite thing that Johns has written. It's only edged out slightly by the others, because I really love the others.
Mm.
But this gets close, and Johns has the chops. I'm waiting for Johns to really impress me and just shoot up there. Because, yeah,
I I don't want to get your hopes up, but I do think Sestra Core War has a chance.
I hope so. But yeah, it was interesting. All of the stories flowed very nicely. It was so easy to read. It had some
Yeah.
nice little setups. I didn't love like the Global Guardian stuff. That was kind of eh. That was like the
Yeah, and
one
which especially
eh.
doesn't bode well for the next collection. So
Yeah, we're gonna
yeah,
talk about that because
yeah,
I'm gonna say it. Looking ahead, if it wasn't for the final three-parter, there's a decent chance that Wanted Hal Jordan would have gone to the bottom of ranking of things that we read. Not because it's bad, because it was, as a trade, it was kind of dull.
yeah. Except for Mystery, because Mystery I think does a lot for the collection. So
Yeah,
which
no,
to be fair, I did warn you about.
if it
I
was
did warn you about
just
before you started reading it. I was like, just Wanted is all right, except for like the villain. I love the villain thing in it. But
well,
Mystery the Star Sapphire is what makes the cut.
Mystery is the one thing that's saving it. And I don't even love Mystery like the best thing ever, but like it was at least a decent, a genuinely good, interesting story with some interesting character bits. This was
Yeah,
Wanda Hal Jordan is a little different in that regard.
yeah.
Um,
But anyway, on to Wanted Hal Jordan, the collection. Starting off with Green Lantern number 14, which is Wanted Hal Jordan Chapter 1. Um, Interesting little cover. I like it.
yeah, it's nice. It's nice. I think the colors could be a little different, uh, especially with the way that it looks on like a trade. Like this
Yeah,
is what was
yeah.
the trade cover, and I don't think it works as nicely as a trade cover, honestly.
Yeah, I remember for a while I didn't like catch all the details in the back, and I thought it was just like all snow behind it. That was all just like weird, different detailing within the snow. Before I actually looked at it closely, and that could work, but I don't know. I'm not sure how I feel like all the bodies behind him and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So we kick off in a little flashback, in a little alternate history flashback. We see once again Hal Jordan getting his ring from Abin Sur, and Abin Sur punches him in the face and says, "This ring does not belong to
Belong to
you."
you.
And he chokes Hal Jordan, and we do sort of the same way that Revenge opened, with this sort of uh, fake flashback and another flashback to being captured in Russia,
As a
and
prisoner of war.
Cowgirl being tortured and their escape, and Hal Jordan waking up in a cold sweat again.
Yes. Like fair repetition, and I will say the very nice things are the continuing of the trauma, especially in this first issue. Um, because it's like we learned then that they've all went to therapy, uh, but all they really can do, all three of them, is meet up at a bar and talk about their problems, which
Yeah,
is
yeah,
it's so realistic.
yeah,
Like
yeah. Like
like
it's oh man, so good. I love that idea. Yeah,
this story has such a strong opening.
yeah.
I think we
Very
can
good. Yeah,
pinpoint the point where it kind of falls.
I think like immediately after Hal Jordan says the oath, and we get this really nice full page Ivan Reese of Hal Jordan in the Green Lantern suit, and then everything kind of goes downhill.
Yeah, because we go to Russia.
We go to Russia, and man, I want to just skim over a lot of this.
Yeah, the Russia stuff isn't great.
Yeah,
It's very okay. I think part of the problem might just be out for our human villains. We don't get a whole lot of who they are, really.
yeah, yeah.
Like
Like
for
like,
our
like
main villain, we understand from his first appearance when we get there. He's great. These villains are faceless, basically.
yeah, yeah. Like honestly, like I feel nothing for these guys. I felt more for the tattoo man, and I just ragged on
Yeah.
him for like a whole like 5 minutes, you know?
Yeah.
Like
Well, because
yeah,
again, the Tattoo Man has a face, has potential for a backstory, some interesting powers. It's
yeah.
just brought down by the
These
constraints.
are just some mean Russians, you know?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah. What do you want?
uh, and it's not even like this is like anti-Russia propaganda or
No,
something.
no. It's
It's
just these are
just
just some mean Russians.
yeah, but like Hal goes in his Green Lantern and destroys this camp. Um, doesn't kill anybody because the ring won't kill, but is basically getting revenge. Um, is flashback to Cowgirl being tortured and how that really fucked Hal up. Um, also fucked up Cowgirl, which we'll get to how it fucked her up in the
Meanwhile, the
end.
Global Guardians are here, and man, I don't care.
You
Like
know,
I think there's like one character here with like an interesting character design, and I think that's about it.
here's the thing. My brain was like, are we back in the 90s? Because like,
It does feel very like a lot of those like little side stories in Death of Superman, doesn't it?
yeah,
Yeah.
like, well, it feels like look at all these characters. These kind of feel like they could very possibly be in the same vein as the characters introduced for Bloodlines.
Yeah. Yeah. But honestly, I felt more for the Bloodlines creatures.
Yeah, these are honestly they're just it's generic designs and
DC, we're still asking, hoping, begging for the Bloodlines omnibus.
for the
Come on.
Bloodlines
Come
Omni.
on. Give it to us. Give it to us.
I think Garth
Um,
Ennis actually wrote an installment of that stuff.
no fucking
He
way.
might have.
No fucking way. Oh my god. That's amazing.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. They want to bring war crime charges against him. That permission is granted. Uh. And then we finally get some actual aliens
Yeah,
elsewhere in
let's get some
Russia.
aliens. We got a
Yeah.
little alien dude talking to someone who looks like Abin Sur here, who we learn is Abin Sur's son, Amon Sur. I don't
I'm
think
on sir.
they don't say his
They
name or
don't say his
anything,
name here.
but it's Amon
Also,
Sur, and he's probably just the best thing about this
also
story.
his little lackey is called Lorag. I love that
It's
name.
just fun. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Honestly, just the best thing about this story right here. It's Amon Sur, and there's
It's
nothing
like,
else.
yeah, I mean, he's wearing a Green Lantern uniform without a ring.
Yeah,
He's pissed. He is pissed. That it, he wanted to be his father's successor, which I get the motivation, but dude, you don't have the willpower.
you do not. Which again, I think like that's made very clear and makes the ending of the story really damn good. Can't wait to talk about it. Which speaking of, let's move on to Green Lantern number 15. This is Wanted Hal Jordan chapter 2. Very different cover, I think here.
I don't love the cover.
I don't know. I like the way the colors are used.
Yeah, the colors are nice, I guess, but
Yeah.
it's a bit. I think all the covers for this really don't. They don't. They don't. I think part of the problem is this doesn't really say much. Like
No, it doesn't say much as a cover, but I don't know. I just think it's just an interesting cover.
Yeah, but I think it's indicative of the series of this miniseries overall. That like not a whole lot is actually said in something called Wanted Hal Jordan.
Yeah, yeah. We open on a scene here in Space Sector 3601. The Guardian show up here, or sorry, a Guardian shows up
A
here,
Guardian.
and takes the remains of Hank Henshaw from space. And man, I just kind of wish the rest of the issue was that, because
Yeah.
we go
It's
back to the Global
not.
Guardians fighting Hal Jordan.
One of them is called the Tasmanian Devil. So I had the Looney Tunes theme going through my head.
God damn it.
I did. Look. I will say this one was kind of a struggle to get through in places, just because I didn't connect much with any
Yeah.
of these villains. Like
Yeah.
this is all action.
Yeah. Again,
Hal is
this
kind of
whole
flirting with
story
the Tasmanian Devil.
this whole story could be its own little two-parter. Make the Amon Sur and the Yellow Lantern and Guardians set up the next two issues. Just have them be two separate stories. I think.
Hal is then tried to be done an assault with, but because sexy femme fatale villain releases
Oh,
pheromones.
yeah, yeah.
Poison Ivy exists and is a better character and is interesting.
Yeah, we could just use Poison Ivy here. Like we could literally just use Poison Ivy here. That's all we need, please.
I mean, but then Joey, we wouldn't have French. We wouldn't have French because
Okay.
she's French.
Makes sense.
Hal
Makes
wants to
sense
find
me.
Cowgirl. He basically fights his way out. There's also like a villain who can shrink, I guess, and clone themselves, possibly.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, you guys capture Hal. Meanwhile, in Southern California, Amon Sur talks to his little lackey. Then over in Salisbury, England, this couple's here, this young couple's here. They're just hanging out here.
They're hiking.
Hiking, nice little
A
scene
mysterious
here.
purple energy.
Yes, jams itself into the woman's head, and she kills the boyfriend as she becomes a Star Sapphire. Says you are a weak male specimen. This female host is not the body my chosen Earthmate desires. I must find the body that is. Gotta know, what are your first thoughts as someone that doesn't know anything about the Star Sapphires?
So my brain was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Because again, it feels like this entire 4-part miniseries is doing every excuse to just cut away.
Yeah, to just not tell the story that it probably should be telling. But even then, I don't want it to tell the story because I just don't give a fuck.
Yeah,
Like,
I don't care. Jaws doesn't care. They just don't
really,
care.
seriously, like we go from this scene to a quick little 2-page thing of Cowgirl fighting off these Russians, and then we go right back to setting up more Sinestro Corps War stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
also the Star Sapphire themselves. Time for another Doctor Who reference. Torchwood, the second episode of Torchwood.
Okay, that's not the same thing.
That is where my brain went.
That is not the same thing, Jacob. Don't you dare compare it to fucking Day One.
Oh, this is better. This is better.
Come on.
But yeah.
Meanwhile, over in the antimatter universe, the planet Quard, we are making Yellow Lantern rings.
And a giant yellow power battery thing.
Yeah. Arkillo comes in here. He's dressed in blue. He kills this guy that what is it? He doesn't want to work on the rings or something.
No, he just doesn't want to be a slave.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He says we must revolt, and Arkillo's like, no, I'm just gonna fucking kill you. I'm gonna bite your head off or something.
Oh, he's hungry. He needs a lunch, Joey.
Yes, you will be my lunch. He says as he bites this guy's head off, and he's
a ring
an official Sinestro Corps officer. And we send the rings out into the universe to start to find their hosts. Meanwhile, more Red Rocket Guardians.
Yeah.
Red Rocket Brigade. That's it. That's fucking it. Okay. Man. There's a big like polar bear construct. That's cool.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Again, this is still Ivan Research, so it's very pretty to look at.
Yeah.
Honestly, there's more dialogue in here than a Roger Stern issue.
And it again, and much like a Roger Stern issue, it doesn't need to be here.
It doesn't. It doesn't. It doesn't. Like,
Yeah, and somewhere in the middle of all this, the Justice League comes in to take Hal with them. Like,
yeah. At this point, I was like,
what
you
is the
know
point?
what?
What is the point?
What's the point? We might at least get some fun Justice League action. Like, at least give me something. I was happy to see Alan Scott, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, Alan Scott. What Red Tornado's there? Black Lightning's back there. That's an interesting choice. Vixen's there. It's cool.
Black Canary's there.
Yeah, nice. Probably my favorite cover from Wanted Hal Jordan easily. This is Green Lantern number 16, Wanted Hal Jordan chapter 3. We get a nice little Hal Jordan, Alan Scott side by side. It's just cool to see.
Very nice, very nice.
We catch ourselves up, and there's a nice little Ivan Reis 2-page spread of
the Justice League.
Yeah, it's nice to see. You love to see it. And that's all I really want to do is see it because man,
because his friends are there to save him. And you know what? It's nice. I like seeing Superman do stuff. I like seeing Wonder Woman do stuff. I even like seeing Vixen do stuff. Like, it's fun. Doesn't really fill us in, and it makes this entire the first two issues feel very pointless.
Yeah, yeah. Just man, I don't care. I don't care about the Justice League. I just want to say that again. I don't care about the Justice League. Like, come on. Why is this not all the Amon Sur show? Like, come on, just let him have this story, please.
I like when Hal and Alan have time to talk to each other.
Yeah, that's a nice little dialogue.
That's a nice little bit.
Yeah. But meanwhile, Amon Sur is killing some people at the Edwards Air Force Base.
Because he just wants to take everything from Hal.
We pass by Should Be King Shark. We go
to right, he's back again.
Yeah, he's there for a panel. We see a destroyed Manhunter.
He takes his father's ship.
Yep, his father's ship is here. Back to Cowgirl. Whatever.
She's getting shot at.
I feel bad because it's technically not bad.
No, it's just.
But I think coming off the high of Revenge of the Green Lanterns, going into this, and having the fun of Mystery of the Star Sapphire immediately after, all while you're just teasing me with Sinestro Corps stuff that I'm going to find infinitely more interesting. If you just keep telling me what I could be reading right now, like I'm just gonna get pissed, you know?
Well, that's what it's doing. That's what it's doing. It's like, hey, here's this other story that you might like more. Well, then why don't you just start telling that story, Jeff?
Yeah, please. Oh my god.
But he brings Cowgirl home, which is sweet.
Yeah. They're attacked by these, like, what are these mercenaries? Are they?
They're mercenaries working for Amon Sur. So it's like, okay, cool. We're finally getting to the point.
We take Hal over to Southern California, where Amon Sur is, and we get this really, really great last scene here. And he tells Hal to take him to his father's unmarked grave, and then unmarked grave, and then I'm going to bury you in it.
Honestly, you could take those first 3 issues, make them one, perfect.
Yeah, and then just have this last issue here because I love this last issue.
Yeah, because this last issue is actually doing stuff.
Yeah. So here we go into Green Lantern number 17, Wanted Hal Jordan, chapter 4. Open our little Justice League scene here. Fucking Batman. Okay, this is the best scene here. I fucking love this scene. So last issue we sent out all the Sinestro Corps rings to get their recruits, and Batman
they're all trying to find Hal Jordan.
Yeah.
Batman's beating up what looks like Tweedledee and Tweedledum.
Mm-hmm. Batman is gliding through Gotham here, and
Bruce Wayne of the planet Earth, you have the ability to instill great fear. Welcome to the Sinestro Corps.
I want to take it back to last episode where you mentioned the question of oh yeah, what corps would we be in, whatever. Let's apply that to fictional characters, which you'll see Jeff Johns likes doing. Like he's what are some non-Green Lantern characters that we could just say What would their core be? Here we go. Batman, yeah, he does have the ability to instill great fear, doesn't he? You know? um, but because of Batman does have willpower, and because he's already had a Green Lantern ring on, he is
Also, it very much implies that the yellow rings kind of fuck with your mind here.
yeah,
Because I
very
imagine
interesting.
Bruce being like, "Nope, you're not getting into this brain."
Yeah. Really interesting scene here. I love it. Moving on back to Amon Sur. We're gonna take Hal's gonna take Amon Sur to his father's grave. We get a little backstory here on who Amon Sur is. Obviously, we don't need much of that, I think, though. But it's a nice little scene here. Get some nice flashbacks.
And Eminster has just a breakdown that this human treats such a precious heirloom with such levity.
Oh my
Uh,
God, so good. Like I love this character. Oh, it's so fascinating.
he is a child.
Yeah. And yeah, so Hal of course remembers where he took his father to. It's I think the implication here is that it's not easy to forget. It's probably one of the most horrific things Hal's had to do. At least before he went full on Green Lantern Corps. Um, just so interesting. So yeah, so we take Abin Sur to his father's grave. Abin Sur blasts it wide open, and we see Abin Sur's corpse, which
And
is a horrifying visual because Amonster takes the skull and holds it fucking Hamlet style to his head. Like, oh my
he's
god.
doing the grave scene from Hamlet.
Yeah,
Basically,
he literally
he
is.
is having an existential
I'm
breakdown.
literally in a production of Hamlet right now, and this is it. Yeah. Um. Yeah. I don't know. Just love it. Anyway. Yeah. So we move on here. Amonster is such a great character. I
He's
love.
insisting throughout all this he is fearless, but of
Mhm.
course his actions are showing a different story. He is
Yeah.
shaking.
His hands shaking. They pointed out Hal calls him a coward. Um, Amonster says, I executed thousands when I was expelled from the Black Circle. I hunted down every member. I tracked down their families. I slaughtered every single one of them. I was not afraid of them. They were afraid of me, which again takes us back to what the message is when people get a Sinestro Corps ring. You have the ability to instill great fear. It's not that you are afraid, but I guess obviously the idea is that your ability to instill fear comes from your own fear. What you're scared of.
Yes.
Um,
And in a twist, as one of the henchmen is secretly John
John
Stewart.
Stewart.
I was like, where is John Stewart in all of this?
There are a lot of Green Lanterns during all of this.
That is true.
Yeah,
Uh,
being written by Dave Gibbons makes sense.
yes.
Yeah.
We got
But yeah.
explanation of John Stewart going undercover because someone put up to figure out who put a price on Hal's head,
Mhm.
uh, which is nice.
Yeah.
They fight for a bit. It's 2-on-1. Um,
And then a
you know,
Sinestro Corps ring, presumably the same one that Batman denied, comes in and chooses Amon Sur. Amon Sur of the planet Ungara. You have the ability to instill great fear. Amon Sur, I love the way this is drawn here when with this full like almost 2 pages where he gets the ring and it welcomes him to the Sinestro Corps. The ring says you've been chosen to represent Space Sector 2814. Um, and then it's what does it say? It says you will now be subjected to psychological and physical reconditioning, preparing to transport sentient being. Um, and he is then transported from here, taken out of the equation, um, which is an ending. It could be a satisfying ending if
could be
Hal
an
didn't
ending. Well,
if
it's also
Hal
again,
didn't feel this
it's
immense guilt from all of this.
it's also fascinating because it's like, oh, these rings don't obey who they choose.
Yeah,
The rings are in control.
yeah,
And with the that just kind of for me it shows oh, we dodged a bullet with Bruce realizing what was up.
yeah, yeah.
Ooh.
Just because Bruce, I'm sure using it would have immense power, but using the mental power of Bruce Wayne against others, just imagine
Yeah.
that. Oh my god. But yeah, Hal is still filled with this immense guilt. He goes over to to the marked grave of Abin Sur on his home planet of Angara, and which originally said Abin Sur, Green Lantern, hero of Angara, and Hal Jordan adds and
And
father.
father. He
Which
flies
is,
off with a thing of green, and there's a flash of yellow as well,
yeah,
hinting some other things. But yeah, then back at Edwards Air Force Base, the Justice League is cleaning everything up. And
yeah.
it's nice.
And
It's
meanwhile,
cool.
Cowgirl's like, "Hey, I know you're Hal Jordan, Green Lantern," and that's that.
I like how it's like, yeah, how do you think that was a secret identity, basically?
Yeah, yeah. We've had a few of those scenes already in this run.
Yeah. But then we cut away to Northern California, 5 miles away
Yes.
from Ferris Air. Oh, hi, Carol Ferris.
Yeah, it's what do you think of the Star Sapphire's designs?
It's definitely a design.
That it is. That it is. One that I think in the style of Ivan Reis doesn't entirely work. But when put into the context of Daniel Acuna's way of drawing the Star Sapphires, I think really does
Really
work.
works.
Yeah.
Also, I think
Uh,
this may be the point where we need to discuss a Twitter question.
yes. I'm gonna let you take this one. I'll read out the question
Yes,
first,
read
though.
it out because I don't have it in front of me.
I'll read it out. This comes from our good friend Mason at the GD256. Mason says, "Does the violet ring act as an aphrodisiac?"
Well, kind of. Okay. So the star sapphire crystal,
Mhm.
because it's not a ring yet, it's a crystal,
The crystal.
uh, implants itself in the host, gets rid of any inhibitions, and is obsessed with finding love.
Yeah. Not
But
just not just not just any love.
its version of love is this weird sort of let's control and protect in the biggest air quotes are to, like the body we desire. Um, and that gets extrapolated ad infinitum, which is kind of what makes Mystery of the Star Sapphires work. Um, but yeah. Also, this is one where I think the idea is that they evolve at the end of this miniseries, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
they
And the and the,
evolve.
and the end of this miniseries also just does a lot for the larger run. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, the final 2-page spread is ooh,
Yeah.
ooh.
Oh yeah. Excited to talk about that. All right, let's start it off. This is Green Lantern number 18, Mystery of the Star Sapphire, Part 1. Written by Jeff Johns, drawn by Daniel Acuna.
Who
Um,
also did the colors,
yes, yeah. Just really
which
cool. Yeah.
kind of makes it this like oil painting style almost.
Yeah, yeah, it's really, really nice. I especially love the second page here where we see Carol flying in her jet, and just I love that. Oh, it's so nice.
But yeah, we open with Carol Ferris flying, giving some of her backstory and her feelings post rebirth
Hmm.
because she hasn't really featured all that much.
Yeah, yeah, and I like that this story especially gives her a lot of spotlight.
Yeah, like she fell in love with him. She then let him go, and then the Star Sapphire crashes her plane and takes her over for more for like the second time.
Yeah,
It implies.
yeah.
Uh,
It's happened before. Yeah, Carol has been a Star Sapphire before. So
ah,
yeah.
fine.
But yeah, so she becomes the Star Sapphire here. Love this whole page here when she like puts on the full costume, and again, like it could be drawn very tastelessly, but I think Daniel Acuna is so perfect for this story because I think it's drawn in such a way as to be tasteful.
Yeah, he doesn't want to make it as titillating as say Ivan Reese did.
Yeah, well, even then, like it's not even that like he tones down the sexual features of these characters, but they're I don't even know what it is that they're drawn in
Something
such a
is
way that
softer in the line work.
yeah, that doesn't make it as like like this is sex appeal, you look at the way the covers are drawn here because the covers are done by Ivan Reese, right?
I Are the covers Ivan
Yeah,
Reese?
yeah, the covers are Ivan Reese.
Yeah.
The covers are almost drawn that way, and then when you actually get into it, it's like, oh yeah, that's not what's being advertised, which
Yeah.
I guess is a little dirty, isn't it?
I mean, it got you to read a decent story.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's a good
But
story.
yeah,
But yeah,
you know,
so Hal is catching up with Cowgirl, who has, they're actually talking about him being Green Lantern, which is nice that they're actually able to do that now.
yeah. And we're still exploring. We're not ignoring the fact that Cowgirl was tortured.
Yeah.
Um, and she's strong, uh, independent, and flirty,
hmm
flirty.
I don't
Uh,
think that makes her like a shallow character though.
no, no, it's not. It's very interesting because they're very much sharing each other's issues and traumas because,
hmm
well, they both have trauma.
Yeah, and also, we'll talk about it afterward. When we hit a certain point in the story. But anyway, yeah, so they're talking. Their conversation gets cut off by crazy ass Star Sapphire Carol Ferris coming in and and attacking the other person that Hal is interested in, which is Cowgirl in this case. Um,
She calls the Star Sapphire gem, which I think is hilarious.
mhm. She attacks the Star Sapphire. Hal puts on his ring, captures Carol within these like green chains, and flies away.
It's like, Cowgirl's like, who is this? An ex-girlfriend. She always this bitchy, only when she's possessed by a telepathic alien crystal. Well, and when she doesn't have coffee. It's
I
like,
love it.
what does she want? One last fling, I think. But I can't do
S-
that. She's married.
So good. It's fun. Like it's a really fun story. I like that we're taking this step back before such a massive story. Just have a really fun adventure and also do a lot for the overall run too, I think. Um,
Yes.
but again, just really succeeding where Wanted Hal Jordan failed, I think.
Yeah. So Hal captures her, and then the Star Sapphire leaves her because it's like, oh, you want this other one.
Okay, fine. I will give you this other one. And it possesses Cowgirl. And we get this great last page where Cowgirl is a Star Sapphire. And with the line, "Do you want this body instead? It's awfully
Awfully
yummy."
yummy.
It is at this point that I would like to remind us that Cowgirl is meant to have like a very southern accent.
Very southern.
Very southern accent. And I find this so funny. Like
Something
I just
like
I
it's
just
something like this.
yeah.
It's awfully
You want
yummy.
this body instead. It's awfully yummy. Like one of those. It's so funny. I think it makes for some great like comedic relief if you're really thinking about like how these characters sound in your head. It's so
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
Um,
Brings us to Green Lantern 19, Mystery of the Star Sapphire Part 2. Another great cover by Ivan Reese.
yes. And a better cover. I love this one. This could have been the collection of Wanted Hal Jordan. You would just called it Green Lantern Mystery of the Star Sapphire.
Yeah, like please, like I don't think Wanted Hal Jordan should have been the main event of this collection.
No, it should not have been.
It's one issue longer. Who gives a fuck? Mystery of the Star Sapphire is the main event here. Please.
Please,
Um,
please.
yeah, it's such a better story. Anyway, yeah, so we open up. Cowgirl is full on Star Sapphire. She's crazy. Um, I love that Hal in retaliation makes a cowboy construct. Oh,
Yes.
it's so funny. I love it.
And there's the hilarity of Carol being jealous, but it's like you also it's you got married, you were dead not that long.
Yeah. Love that. Also, while Carol was possessed by the Star Sapphire, she learned their backstory. So it's time for her backstory. We see the Guardians and do they name them here? I know they're called the Zamorons, but I can't remember if they named them here.
They name them at some point in this miniseries,
Yeah. Um,
as a tribe of women from Oa.
yeah. But they eventually left. They separated from the Guardians. I like that. Like, I haven't read the original like Star Sapphire stories like from when they were first created, and any other appearances up to this point. So I don't know if there was this direct connection between the Guardians and the Zamorons, and between the Star Sapphires and the Green Lanterns to begin with. But I like that it's here. If it wasn't an inclusion before, I like that John's made that inclusion.
It's also, very possible that Star Sapphire. This is the first appearance post Crisis of the Star Sapphire.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was.
Because I know, like, I looked into it and it's like, oh, this was a 1960s creation.
hmm Which I'm so glad was brought back. Like clearly because Johns was like, I want to do the whole emotional spectrum through color, and we could do it with the Star Sapphires. But I just like their inclusion. It's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, there's this idea that they are leaving to spread love across the universe through experimentation, which is weird. We get a bit of Carol Ferris about her becoming the first Star Sapphire, that she was going to be the queen of Earth. And in this flashback, you see a callback to the 1960s Star Sapphire
I
costume.
love the 60 Star Sapphire costume.
It's
It's so
so
good.
nice.
Yeah, I love that. I also think Daniel Acuna's art really suits the 60s Hal Jordan look there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, the crystal, just hopped around to whoever Hal Jordan wanted to bang at the time.
Yeah, makes sense. But yeah, so we get the origin of like the connection then between the Star Sapphires and the Green Lanterns. It's a Star Sapphire and Green Lantern that were together once. Um, uh, this Star Sapphire eventually killed the Green Lantern because of her love for him. It's interesting. It's a cool idea.
Yeah, this idea of killing him and then putting him in stasis is
Mhm.
what they do.
To preserve their love, it seems.
Yeah, which okay, that's obviously not how that works.
Yeah. But again, just it's interesting, like just like of this different like culture experiencing love in a different
Yeah,
way.
in a different weird way.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
but yeah, so back there, Hal and Carol. I mean, again, just a huge excuse to get a backstory here. But Hal and Carol are still being chased by a cowgirl. Still fucking hilarious. Imagining all this dialogue in that
Yeah,
southern
they
accent.
they bust into the honeymoon hotel.
And oh my god, I love it. It's so funny. Um,
Cowgirl just gets on top of him. Um, and Hal's like, I don't do this on the first date, Cowgirl. Oh, sugar. Superheroes don't lie.
it's so good. I love it. But yeah,
Uh,
so God, I love it. Yeah, so anyway,
and
so
Carol's like, you've never met Green Arrow.
but yeah, so Hal makes Carol a suit. She asks him to. He makes Carol a suit. It looks amazing. It's basically the '60s Star Sapphire suit, but applied to a Green Lantern suit.
Honestly,
Uh,
it looks better in green.
yeah, honestly, I love it. Yeah,
Can we make Carol Ferris a Green Lantern and have this
it's a
be her
really
uniform?
it's a really great design. Um, I think what's really funny actually is the Star Sapphire design doesn't change at all during the Johns run. It's still that sort of like skimpy look. But then God, I can't remember the name. Rob Vendetti takes on Green Lantern like right after Johns, and like the first chance he gets, he changes the Star Sapphire costume.
Which, yeah, that would be in the New 52, right?
Yeah,
Well
that's like
into it, because John's.
it's Johns did it until New 52 issue 20 of Green
So,
Lantern.
John's had a decade run.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's a whole beginning. There's a whole like forward that he does at the beginning of his last trade. Like trades don't get forwards really when they're first released, but no, John's like wrote a forward for his last Green Lantern trade because that run was just that long.
It's that long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's that. Anyway,
There's also the idea that there's a new core rising, and the issue ends with the other Star Sapphires showing up.
yes, yeah, these are the Zamorons, the original the from the planet Oa Star Sapphires. Yeah. Yeah, so they're here. We go into Green Lantern number 20. This is Mystery of the Star Sapphire, part 3. It is also worth noting at this point that all 3 of these issues of Mystery of the Star Sapphire had Tales of the Sinestro Corps backup stories leading into Sinestro Corps War, which we won't be covering here because they weren't collected in Wanted Hal Jordan the trade, but we'll be covering them next time when we do Sinestro Corps War.
So I think they were collected in, if not the original Sinestro Corps War, they were collected in the Jeff Johns Green Lantern book 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's that. Anyway, yeah. So last issue of the trade and last issue of this little mini series here. Again, just catching us up where we're at right now. Still love this Carol Ferris Green Lantern suit. The Zamorons are here. It's a nice little action sequence. I love the way Daniel Acuna uses color here. It's very
He does.
there's a very nice like stark contrast here between the pinkish purple and green. It's very
And
nice.
it's all monochrome, basically, which is,
Mhm.
or
And I love that
dichrome?
I love that the Star Sapphires here are highlighted in black and the Green Lanterns here are highlighted in white.
Yes.
Very nice little touch there.
Very, very interesting implications. Because, Hal is trying to fight the Zamorons. Carol is trying to save Cowgirl from, that control. She manages it and uh, leaves her naked because, well, that's what energy constructs will do.
Yep.
But luckily, there are clothes in the hotel, so they are quickly clothed in t-shirts.
And Cowgirl wears one that says "I am easy."
Uh,
The story is like it's not like a comedy, but like it is like a surprisingly funny story, I think. Especially like
it's
after the long run of stories we've had up to this point, it's nice to have like something that's a bit more laid back,
it's a
but
bit it's a
still
bit
very fun,
lighter.
still very fun, high energy, very action packed. And again, does a lot for the run as a whole.
But yeah, the crystal then preserves both of them and asks, choose your mate, Hal Jordan. And uh, Hal,
Chooses the head Zamoron,
yeah,
Star
just
Sapphire
just
lady.
kisses her.
Yeah. Um, and she goes, "What are you doing, guardian dog?" He says, "Not trying not to throw up." So the crystal says that he has chosen neither of you. It goes into the crystal goes into the Zamoron. Then she becomes like a proper Star Sapphire. Then, and that's that. Let's see. Oh yeah, the Star Sapphire like sees the other Zamorons as like enemies. Then says, "You stand in my way, Zamoron. Love will conquer all." And they sort of head out of there then, leaving Hal, Cowgirl, and Carol there alone, and they go out for a drink then.
At the bar where this all started, still
Yeah,
semi-destroyed, but alcohol's got to keep flowing.
yeah.
Uh,
But yeah, we get this nice little like bit here between Hal and Carol, and there is still like this sort of like tension between the two of them,
yeah.
that we do have to cover eventually. But Carol eventually decides to leave, leaving Hal and Cowgirl together. Um, And that's that. We get this nice little epilogue scene where the Zamorons are and the Star Sapphire. Well, they get the crystal out of the head Zamoron's head, and they read about this prophecy here. They talk about they must combat this prophecy. They must collect them all. They're left in the middle of this sort of like this platform here with these 7 pillars around them, with a green light at the center, pink at the left side, yellow on the right side, and the other 4 pillars are black. They have not been activated yet. So, yeah,
Yes.
big old tease for what we have coming in the Jeff Johns run.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we end on a quick bit where it turns out Carol's divorced.
Yep. What do you know? What
What
are
do
the
you
odds?
know?
What are the odds?
What are the odds?
And that was Wanted Hal Jordan. And man, I think like the fact we've been so positive for the last for the last like good section of this would make you think that Wanted Hal Jordan as a collection is actually really good.
It's
And
not.
it's not really. I mean, it is for the most part. I think
Yeah.
a solid half of it is worth it.
Yeah. I've given it a 7.5 out of 10. Just because there are good things in the Wanted Hal Jordan story. In the
Yeah.
opener and the closing issue. Not that
Mhm.
middle. Not that middle. It's not.
Yeah.
And then, Mystery of the Star Sapphire, it's good. Got a couple of problems, but it's, damn good breath of fresh air.
Oh, absolutely.
Has
Yeah.
very fun with
Yeah.
a lot of fun with its characters, and
Yeah.
manages to tease the Sinestro Corps War and future stuff without taking away from the actual story.
Yeah, yeah. Um yeah, but as a whole, I mean, between these two collections, obviously Revenge is the better collection, I'd
Oh,
say.
Revenge is the better. That's like
Um
the second best thing that I've read from Jeff Johns.
nice, nice.
Yeah,
I'm glad you liked it so much, especially how like I know you like No Fear a lot, and Rebirth you were okay with, but like it seems like you were kind of like lukewarm to a lot of the Jeff Johns Green Lantern stuff up to this point. And
yeah. I mean, I really like No Fear.
I feel like this is a pretty big turning point
Yeah,
for
this
for
was
you
this was
with some of his
a-okay.
work.
Now we know what we're doing.
Yeah,
And
yeah, and especially with the next big arc, Sinestro Corps War, like it's the culmination of everything that you've read up to this point, Green Lantern wise. So yeah, it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see. So obviously, we mentioned a lot of times. Next episode is our 20th episode of Fresh Face Comics. I'm so excited. It'll be
20 episodes,
It'll be
jeez.
one of the biggest stories we've covered. We're covering the Sinestro Corps War. This is the backup stories from Mystery of the Star Sapphire. So it's Tales of the Sinestro Corps. There's the Sinestro Corps War special, which is the first issue of it. It's Green Lantern 21 to 25 and Green Lantern Corps. I forget the numbers. It's
14 to 18.
That's it. Thank you. 14 to 18. And then also, because we're reading from the omnibus volumes, we'll be covering the Sinestro Corps War special Superboy Prime.
Yeah,
Um,
Tales of Sinestro Corps Superboy Prime number
yeah.
1.
That is not typically collected in Sinestro Corps War trades, but we'll be covering that. You may just have to skip ahead like 5-10 minutes.
I think it might be in that Green Lantern by Jeff Johns book 3.
Oh, okay. So if you have those, if you're reading from those, then there's that. If you're reading from the original trades, it doesn't have that. But we'll be covering it. You may just have to skip ahead like 5-10 minutes. But because we're reading from the Omnis, we're not going to omit it.
Yeah, because that would be a weird thing.
Yeah, yeah. Especially
yes, it isn't. Yes, it is included in book 3, which is the current available version.
Well, that's good. That's good. As always, links to the books we're currently reading are going to be down in the description wherever you're listening to us on, to Revenge of the Green Lanterns and Wanted Hal Jordan. Also, we'll leave links to the next thing we're reading, which is Sinestro Corps War. There's that. I'll leave links to the Omnis down there, of course, as well, if you want to just get those, because it is probably just the best way to read all of this. And they're not super expensive, I'd say, and there's a lot of reading material there. So
yeah, the Omnis are surprisingly affordable.
Yeah, not as affordable as like say the Grant Morrison Batman Omnis, because like those are like only like $40-$50 each.
Yeah,
yeah, there's that. But yeah, wow, we're going on our 20th episode next time. I cannot believe that. Wow, that is crazy.
It's crazy.
Yeah, that is absolutely crazy. Yeah.
A couple of final things. I think it's important just to put this here at the end. If you are I'm just going to get on a quick political soapbox. If you are, and because this is going out on the 4th of July, if you are in the United States, please remember to register to vote, as we are in a crisis of rights being stripped away, and donate to organizations like Planned Parenthood and the National Network of Abortion Funds.
Yes, this is a sponsored message, not a sponsored message.
Not a sponsored message.
This is a supported message. I support this shit.
Yes.
As the host of this podcast, I support this shit. So there's that.
Yes.
Yeah, you know what? This episode was not super long. This is a little under 2 hours. We had to split between 2 recordings because there's a slight crash.
A weird technical glitch.
Yeah, around like almost like at the exact halfway mark. So yeah, it's kind of weird.
That was weird.
Yeah, that was really weird. But yeah, what Jacob said. Yeah, it's a weird time to be living in America. So make it not as weird.
Yes. But also, if you enjoyed this episode, please leave us a like on YouTube, rate us on whatever podcast platform you're listening to us. Follow us, give us reviews.
Following, subscribe. Be sure to follow us on Twitter. I'm at Jomo with 3 underscores. He is at Newt5996. Anything else? I think that covers it, right?
Yeah, just interact with us. Let us know what you think.
Interact with us. Yeah, as always, be on the lookout for like usually about like a week to a couple of days before episode comes out. We do like a quick Twitter Q&A. You send in like questions, comments, whatever. And you'll be on the podcast. You heard a couple of those on this episode. We had even more on the last episode. Very excited to see what we get in the future.
And I know on the YouTube channel, if it's not out already, there's a little something special coming from Joey.
Yeah. It was going to be out this past Monday, but it's going to be out Tuesday. So it'll already be, who am I saying? It'll already be out by the time this episode is out. So yeah, so we did a little tribute to Tim Sale on doing a quick scene from The Long Halloween. I did it with my good friend John. He's at East Space. Is he still East Space?
No, he's at John Foreman Twat.
Shit. John Foreman Twat. That's right. He's #1 Winlock stand. Fucking John Foreman. Absolute king. Does an amazing Batman voice. We did a scene together as a little tribute to Tim Sale. Obviously, me and Jacob love Tim Sale very much.
Yes.
We covered a lot of his work, and I don't know. We were very crushed by the news of his passing.
Yes.
I know we both, like, without even telling each other, we both impulse bought Superman for All Seasons. Like, the day that he died.
Because my brain was like, they're gonna scalp this thing.
And they haven't. They haven't. Like I worry about those things, I guess, a lot more. Like I was worried, like when we were about to do Teen Titans stuff, that that people were gonna scalp like new Teen Titans stuff when George Perez died.
Oh
But
yeah.
but that hasn't happened. Which I'm very
Nice.
happy about. So
So
yeah,
yeah. So I think
yeah,
that's everything.
yeah. Wow. Awesome. Cool. That's everything. Thank you all so much for listening. I guess until next time, this has been Joey Morgan.
And Jacob Licklider.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.